Last Thursday, President Joe Biden signed a historic $1.9 trillion COVID relief package into law, scoring his first major political victory in office. Among its many components, the latest package provides checks of $1,400 to Americans earning less than $75,000 a year. On Capitol Hill, the powerful Ways and Means Committee was responsible for crafting half of the package, totaling a staggering $941 billion. Connecting Point's Ray Hershel spoke with committee chairman Congressman Neal of Springfield, who says the relief package comes at a critical time in the country's battle against COVID.
We are not going to get to full economic recovery until we defeat the virus. And when you consider that in this package, there is money for constituents, there is more money for testing, we expand the child credit, we expand the earned income tax credit, we expand the child care credit, there is the retention tax credit expansion this year, there are more dollars for small business loans. And I think it's important to remember that we are not on the other side of the pandemic. And certainly this package, I believe, will go a long way toward alleviating some of those concerns. There's about $8.5 billion here for the state of Massachusetts, $100 million for the city of Springfield, $115 million for the city of Worcester, $33 million for the city of Pittsfield, I believe $31 million for the city of Holyoke. And I call that up only to point out that during the pandemic, many of the essential workers who took the most risks, they now are still in the precarious position as to whether or not they're going to be able to hold on to their jobs. This will give them a long-term, I think, moment of satisfaction.
Well, it certainly was a comprehensive package, as you just mentioned, and most people are familiar, of course, with the stimulus checks that are going out. $1,400 for individuals earning under $75,000 and $2,800 for individuals earning under $150,000. But that's only about 22% of the total economic stimulus package. So there's 78%, as you mentioned, that goes to other areas, whether it's education, whether it's states, whether it's COVID. So it is a very comprehensive package.
Well, I mean, getting our schools open is essential. And I think that there is money here for our air conditioning systems in the schools. I think that there is money here for those that have been laid off. I think perhaps one of the most important things we did once again in this legislation was to provide the bedrock guarantee of expanded and extended unemployment insurance through the fall. These are very critical considerations. I think the multi-employer pension plan relief that we undertook was also essential. So this is, by most, I think, measurements, perhaps on par with what Lyndon Johnson did in 64 and 65 and what Franklin Roosevelt did back in 32 and 33. This is not usurping private sector responsibility. It's acknowledging that the capacity for some institutions to respond to the pandemic would have to come through governmental assistance.
Now, after the stimulus package was signed into law, you talked with President Biden. I'm curious, could you share what the gist of that conversation was, what he told you and what you responded to for the president?
So I talked to the president for about 10 minutes. He was elated, congratulated me over and over again for what we were able to get done. 10 million jobs that were lost during this pandemic. It is a little bit more than 1 year old now. 10 million jobs. They've not come back. So even though the national unemployment rate is advertised a little north of 6%, Janet Yellen, Secretary of the Treasury, she's made it clear that that number is closer to 10% because of the number of people who stopped looking.
Republicans have maintained that there's too much in this bill, too much money. They propose an alternative bill, I think, of about a third the amount. In terms of what this means for the federal deficit expanding and long-term economic growth in our country, how do you feel this COVID relief package is going to fare?
The Federal Reserve has made clear that getting to the other side of the pandemic should be priority number one. Time and again, Jay Powell, the chairman of the Fed, as recently as a couple of days ago, has pointed out that he intends to keep interest rates low for the foreseeable future. Some speculate that means years to come. He's trying to get to that inflation number of 2%. This is a tough call. It's like a bank shot if you've ever played pool. And he's, I think, an authoritative voice on this. I think he's done a really good job. However, there is the reality in front of us that it would be very hard for Republicans now, and this is I think, a diplomatic critique of their positions. You can't be just for deficit reduction when there's Democratic presidents. And I think it's fair to say that the debt exploded under President Bush Jr. and under Donald Trump. President Trump took the position, if you remember, that the Republican proposal for the $600 checks was not enough. He wanted $2,000 checks. The last American president who paid great attention to the deficits and debt was Bill Clinton. Since that time, I think that there's been an acknowledgement that for long-term investments, some borrowing is appropriate. But Clinton balanced the budget 4 times during his presidency. It's only been balanced 5 times since the end of World War II.
And if we could look forward just a little bit at this particular point in terms of what lies ahead, of course, we're dealing with COVID, will be for some time now. What's the next major initiative that's going to be coming through Ways and Means that the president is espousing at this point of view? Is it the infrastructure bill?
It looks as though it's going to be infrastructure. We right now have begun those discussions. I've had that conversation with Speaker Pelosi in her office a couple of days ago. We've talked about it extensively. I think there's a broad acknowledgement that America's infrastructure has fallen into a broad state of disrepair. Our airports and our railroads are two that come to mind, but we want to expand this to more broadband opportunities. We want to expand it to sewer and water, perhaps some assistance for school building with a maintenance of effort from local and state governments. I have talked extensively about trying to improve rail service between Boston, Worcester, Springfield, and Pittsfield. And I think that that is a distinct possibility as well. So Donald Trump proposed a $2 trillion infrastructure plan. Joe Biden, I expect to propose a $2 trillion infrastructure plan. And I'm okay with a considerable amount of borrowing for that because I think that's a long-term investment. There aren't many people, there aren't many people who buy their home with one payment. You invest over the long period of time, increasing productivity, which then in turn improves the quality of life.